Let me see your identification.
The name's Bond. James Bond.
You must be Igor.
You've got a real attitude problem.
Danger's my middle name.
Wait, let me explain something to you.
I am an FBI agent!
I know, man, isn't it wild?
Wow! My mistake!
Did you eat a lot of paint chips when you were a kid?
Why?
Are you shook up? Are you nervous?
Supernatural, perhaps.
Christ, look at that! God help us!
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Holy shit! Where's the Tylenol?
We'd like to get a sample of your brain tissue.
Okay.
Shall I give him some medicine?
It's alive!
You know what's going on? Maybe it's another drill.
Welcome to Face the Real podcast that inspires and changes lives. Working as a stuntman and stunt coordinator in the motion picture and television world for over 27 years, I had the pleasure to meet and work with some amazing people. Actors, producers, directors, wardrobe, hair and makeup, fellow stunt performers, you name it. Here you get to hear some unbelievable stories from awesome people and their journeys through their lives, their struggles, and how they got to where they are today. Some of them funny, some of them sad, but never boring, and hopefully will help you to reach your goals, whatever they might be. I am Oliver Keller, and I'm excited to have you with me to face the real
Callie Croughwell.
Today we have Callie Croughwell on Face the Real. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I also want to say thank you to all the viewers. We have some really cool comments I got, and if you do enjoy the show, then please like and subscribe. And also, if you have someone specific in mind that you'd like me to interview, feel free to email me and let me know. So, Callie, I know you now for, a handful of years, I think?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's been 2, right?
Yeah, 2, 3.
About 2? Yeah, 2, 3 years.
Yeah. Callie is a 25 years old stunt woman living in Los Angeles. And you grew up there, right? In California? Yep.
Yep. In Arhsa.
Okay. What was it like growing up what was it like to be little Callie?
Well, because my dad's a stunt coordinator, we were always super active. I've got 2 older brothers. We were always riding dirt bikes, playing soccer, doing karate. Like, sports was just something that was naturally in our day-to-day life. So I think that that's helped shape a lot of what I do now as far as being a stunt woman is concerned. But yeah.
Well, explain the audience who your dad is. He's not just a stunt coordinator. He's quite a cool dude. Yeah,
my dad's kind of, he's a bit of a badass. He is a stunt coordinator. He's been one for 40 years now. He started off doubling Michael J. Fox and all the Back to the Futures. He's made a really good career for himself. He's done lots of movies over the years and lots of fun working with him.
Now, you probably were on set all the time as a kid growing up. Were you ever watching your dad do a stunt?
I think I might have been too young to ever see him do a stunt. But as far as like him coordinating, I definitely got to be a part of that. My first movie was Planet of the Apes when I was 4 turned 5. And he was the coordinator for the show. So I got to see him, in that realm. But I've never, aside from riding dirt bikes and doing stuff at home and training with him, I haven't seen him do a stunt, but I can only imagine how cool that would have been to see him, in his day.
So you never saw him perform, you just saw him coordinate, basically. Oh,
yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Now, you were 4 or 5 years old when you started in the stunt industry? What did you do?
I worked on Planet of the Apes. It was a little stunt acting role. It was very last minute. So they actually had 2 girls that were supposed to play this part and ended up not liking all the prosthetics and all the men in their ape costumes. And the girls freaked out and they couldn't do the job. So my dad was like, let's have Callie come down. Maybe she'll be able to, whip something out of her pocket and be able to act and perform and do all this, and ended up showing up and got the job. And yeah.
When you say you got the job, was there a test of some sort, something you had to do?
I did. I had to cry. Is that crazy? They stuck me in a cage and they said, okay, so basically you've been taken away from your family. Now you're a human pet, right? And they said, we want you to cry. And so I had to perform and just basically act. And I had no idea what I was doing, but I just did it. And it came naturally. And yeah.
And you were an ape, right? You were in prosthetics, makeup?
No, so I was a human pet.
Okay.
So everybody around me was in prosthetics.
Okay.
And dressed as apes. Yeah.
Was that the only thing you got to do on Planet of the Apes? Or
No, I got to do my first Ratchet too. Yeah.
Wow. Explain to the audience what a ratchet is.
So a ratchet is you're in a harness, you're connected to a wire, and you basically get to fly. I got to fly into a little sack bag that some monkeys were holding. And they stole me, basically.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What did it feel like? Do you remember it all? I mean, it's so long. It's 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's a long time, but I definitely I don't think I remember, that day or all the days, but I do remember the feeling of being on set and just knowing like this is that amazing feeling. Like, I'm sure you know how it feels when you go to work every day. You're like, is this really what I get to do for work? Like, it's crazy. I don't know. It's just some sort of like feeling in your heart. And I don't know. Definitely don't remember anything specific though.
And then what was the next thing after that?
I think it was the Hulk. Yeah, I think it was the Hulk.
What did you get to do on Hulk?
So the Hulk goes under the ground in San Francisco, and there's a ton of I think there was 20 stunt people on the trolley car. As he goes under the ground, the trolley car flips over on its side, and a bunch of people fall out. I was one of the people who I did like a little pendulum swing kind of. I just went out and then came back in. Tons of other people were on the back. They got to jump out, go to the ground, all sorts of fun stuff.
Was that done practically on the streets?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was just, so we didn't tip it over fully. It was just like a quarter tilt.
Okay.
Yeah, so we could do multiple takes of that.
That's crazy. And you were how old?
Ooh, like 6 or 7 maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then come on. I looked at your resume and you start. It starts in 2001.
Yep.
And I moved to the States in 2000s, and I'm like, holy cow! She's been in the industry as long as I've been here. It's crazy.
Yeah, going on 20 years in December. Seems crazy to say that.
Yeah. What was the next one?
Men in Black 2. Didn't get to do too much on that one. It was a little bit more of an acting thing. We were all in a subway and it gets eaten by a big worm. So a little jolty going on, and then they come in and you know how they had to erase your memory?
Yeah.
In that movie, that part. So a little bit of acting. And then I'm trying to think of what my next one was after that. Let's see. I did Big Mama's House.
Okay.
Yeah. Not too much there either. A lot of my stuff as far as when I was younger was more of like acting and, ND stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know how recent that new regulation is that if you're a member of Screen Actors Guild, which you obviously have to be in order to work on the movies and TV shows, you don't have stunt kits anymore.
right?
Yeah, it's they've gone, I'm not sure exactly what it is now, but you're not allowed to technically do stunts per se until you're 18, I believe.
Yeah, right.
Technically now you would be considered an actor, not a stunt kid.
Yeah, no doubling and
Yeah,
that, right?
yeah. There's some interesting terminology around that um, I'm not aware of, but
Yeah. What was it pretty clear for you as a kid already that you're going to follow your dad's footsteps?
yeah, I think so. I think as like time went on, I wasn't too aware of it, but like I just felt like that was home, and I didn't really ever second guess like that's where I wanted to go. I ended up going to college for 4 years and graduated with a bachelor's degree. That was a little tough because I knew I wanted to do stunts right out of high school, but it was definitely worth it to go, get that life experience around people, get an education while I could, while I wanted to. I played soccer while I was there too, so that was good to stay active. But I've definitely always felt very at home on set. Like that's definitely where I want to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why did you go to Boston? Why so far away?
Soccer scholarship.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And academic scholarship too.
How did you like it out there? I've never been to Boston.
Oh, it's beautiful. They have real seasons out there. It snows. You get nice fall, good spring weather, good summers. It's beautiful. It's very pretty.
Imagine.
Mm-hmm.
So then you came back and you jumped right into the film business?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Jumped right back into, my dad got a TV show called The Rookie, which I think is where we met you. And then after The Rookie, we had moved on to a film called Call of the Wild.
Yep.
And I kind of worked in between the two of them, assisting my dad and assisting David Rowden, just getting as much experience as I possibly could as a coordinator and a performer, which is very important.
You know, what was, I didn't know that you just got back from college when we first started on The Rookie.
Mm-hmm.
Because you seemed so mature already. Like you have very good set etiquette. You're very smart, so you know what to look for, and you work really hard. I've seen you putting in the time days after days, not getting paid and still showing up on set. And we had this conversation before, and you know because it's easy for people to see, oh, okay, so she's the daughter of this, incredibly talented and big time stunt coordinator, second unit director. So it's going to be easier for her to get her start and so on. But I don't think so. How do you see that?
I don't think so. I think I do think that I have a great connection and a great in. My foot is already basically in the door, and I'm very fortunate for that. But I definitely think that there's some sort of stigma around stunt kids kind of having it made in a sense and being easily given to them, which I think it is in a way, but it's also not. I think you have to work a lot harder just to prove people away from that idea. You have to show up, can't have an attitude, got to be positive, you got to work hard and right. That's, people are going to always look at you like, oh, you've had it made, you've got it given to you. And it's like, no, that's actually not the case. Can't just have everything given to you. You got to work for yourself too.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, I am Charlie Crowell's daughter, but I'm also Callie Croughwell, and I've made my own name, and I hope to continue that.
No, that's a valid point. And obviously you're proving yourself with putting in the time, and I think this is a really good time to be in at the moment as well, because females are getting more and more opportunity also to coordinate, which, uh, that hasn't really started too long ago. I mean, even
No.
years ago, it wasn't very common
Hmm.
to even get the opportunity. But I see that you work really hard in your craft on your skill sets as well. Like you got yourself a little car to go out and practice with it, right?
Yeah. So I have a Crown Vic. It's got a little brake in it. It's really simple, nothing crazy, but it's good to get that seat time and perfect those skills and hone in on certain things that you might be asked to do on set one day. Yeah, it's a great training tool.
I like digging holes and hiding things inside them. When I grow old, I hope I won't forget to find them. 'Cause I've got memories and travel like gypsies in the night. I build a home and wait for someone to tear it down. Then pack it up in boxes, head for the next town.
Absolutely. And you ride motorcycles?
Mm-hmm. Love motorcycles, ride dirt bikes. One great thing that's come out of this quarantine is I've been able to go to the track at least 2 or 3 times a week, which has been great. Yeah, really dialing in my skills on the track, which is great. You know, seat time and training is so important for us, as you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, got to stay physically able.
You look fit. What have you been doing?
Riding my dirt bike a lot.
Where do you go?
I go to LACR.
Okay.
And Gorman and a few other places.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
What else do you do for to stay in shape?
I do a lot of running. I do some HIIT workouts at home. It's been a little tough just because no gyms are open. They were open for a little while, but now it seems like everything's closing again. So it's just kind of, eating right is extremely important as well. What you put in is what you get out. Yeah, so just dialing in on all of those.
Have you been strict with your vegan diet again?
No, I need to though. I need to. I've kind of strayed away from the vegan diet and kind of been a little loose with my veganism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You talked about it on set. You were all of a sudden like, I'm not going to eat meat anymore, and
yeah.
And you seem to really enjoy that path for a while.
Yeah, I definitely think I felt very clear, as like mentally, physically, everything felt great. It's just one of those things that it's just kind of hard to keep up with if you don't prep. You can get hungry pretty easy if you don't have snacks. But it's when you're on set and you have crafty all the time, you've got veggies and you name it, you've got it, and it's right there and you don't have to think about it, which is quite nice.
Yeah. Now you said you have 2 brothers. What was it like to grow up with those guys, and do you ever felt competition?
Oh yeah, all the time. I think they were my biggest pushers as far as like knowing what I can do and how I can do it. I was always like, if they can do it, I can do it. If they're doing it, I want to be a part of that, So my parents never let me not be a part of karate or soccer, or riding dirt bikes or racing, driving cars, you name it, that they did it, I was doing it too. And I'm super grateful for that. And they've made me super strong, mentally and physically, which I'm very grateful for.
What about injuries? Have you gotten hurt?
I've only gotten hurt once, thankfully, and it wasn't on set. It was actually at a stunt Christmas party. I broke my collarbone when I was riding my dirt bike. Wasn't too bad, not too bad of a recovery. Took maybe 2 months. Had surgery, plated it, got it done with. That's about it, though, besides a few bumps and bruises.
That was the only time you ever got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that because you went skiing like, what, 2 or 3 weeks after that.
Like a week after, yeah.
So
Probably not the best idea, but it was well worth it.
And then you told me you were going to do this car crash, and that wasn't long after that either.
No, I think that was 2 months after.
Right, probably pretty tender still at that time.
It was a little tender. I was very fortunate enough to have been able to put a big piece of pad underneath my collarbone, right where my shoulder straps were. But it wasn't crazy. Definitely felt that pressure though as soon as I hit.
Man, that was
when I crashed.
That was crazy. I remember you talking to me about it. And was that your first car crash?
Second.
Second.
Yeah.
What was your first one?
So my first one was on Animal Kingdom again. I got T-boned by Zach Bartholomew coming through an intersection, doubling a lady, and wasn't going very fast, maybe 15, 20 miles an hour. He was coming at me, and then I was coming through rolling at maybe 10, 15 miles an hour. Hit the front wheel and then just kind of spun me sideways. And that was the end of that shot.
Okay.
Yeah.
But explain the second car crash. That was a lot more elaborate, I would say.
Yeah, that was a lot more intense. I was driving a Buick Skylark, a 78. So it's a bit of a car. Driving down the road, the girl that I was doubling, she was drunk and intoxicated and high, and so she was kind of playing this loosey-goosey role with the car, ends up going off the side of the road and runs right into a rock going 25, 30 miles an hour, and totally smashed the entire front of the car, which was fabulous. It looked great. The one thing that I was probably most concerned with was that I wasn't able to wear a helmet because the camera was in the back of the car right behind my shoulder. So I had a huge thick neck brace on and a donut on top of that, mouth guard, you name it, 5-point harness. It was amazing. It's one of my favorite experiences so far on set.
Isn't it weird? That sounds so crazy for quote unquote people, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they're like, wait, you did what?
What do you think makes us feel that way?
I don't know. I think it's the idea of putting a story together and physically being able to, do a task that not everybody is willing to do. You put your body on the line for a lot of the things that we do. I think the adrenaline that comes with it, and knowing that you're doing something really cool that you don't get to how many people get to crash cars and then come out of it, not have to pay for the damage and all the other stuff that comes along with it, right?
Well, to answer that question, like most people don't want to crash cars.
Yeah. Yeah. Where we're like, yeah, let's smash it.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a strange feeling. You mentioned adrenaline. Really, you actually do it for that? I don't think I've ever done a stunt for that feeling, the adrenaline feeling at all. And sometimes when I do get it, like if you do a really gnarly high fall or something like that, I don't, it's not always great. It's like a yucky feeling. Sometimes it's
yeah. And I don't think I do it for the adrenaline. I think I like the idea of the satisfaction that you get after it. I don't know if you would consider that adrenaline, but it's like this high of like, wow, that was so cool. Like if you do a high fall, you're like, wow, like my body aches, but that was great. That type of feeling.
And sometimes you do. I don't know if you've been in those positions yet. Yeah, but that car crash probably was one because it probably hurt pretty good. But sometimes we do things that there's just no way that it's not going to hurt. It's just going to be very uncomfortable. That going in, and yet we still decide to do that. It's what do you think makes us, what makes a stunt performer able to turn that off, that logic, hey, this is completely wrong and not healthy, probably very dangerous? What do you think do stunt performers have that others don't?
That's a great question. I honestly don't think I have a good answer for that one. I think that's tough. I think everybody's so different. I think, you know, when you go to perform, it's a piece of art, right? Basically. And an action, you know, an action sequence is pivotal to a lot of movies. I'm not sure. I think that's really hard for, I think what happens with people when they, as far as performers go, when you have to do something, you have to turn off like all your logic of, yeah, that's probably not the best idea, but on the bright side, if it gets done and gets done safely and properly, it's going to be great, and it's going to be a really cool sequence to have been a part of. Yeah, that's a hard question.
Yeah, I don't think I have an answer to it either. I was, you know, and I wasn't prepared for that specifically. It just there's some questions I write down, but some of them just kind of come as we talk.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the one stunt that I did for your dad just came to mind too. That, you know, falling over the rail to the table.
Yeah, that was gnarly.
Yeah, and it was one of those things I remember very specifically. Right before we, you know, rolled the cameras, like 10 seconds before your dad walked behind me, he kind of, you know, pat me on the shoulders, like, you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine, right? And you stand there and you know I'm going to fall about 8 feet to the ground in a second hardwood floor. And then he's up there and he's looking down and he asked me, are you ready? And you know, in your head is like, or are you good? Something like that. And in your head is like, no, this is terribly wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, ready?
Yeah, and how I work is just I visualize my my action over and over and over right before. So then when they call action, you just do it. It's just just so much easier that way.
And call it, Charlie. Ready, and 3, 2, 1, action.
Yeah, comes natural.
Yeah. Where do you see yourself in the future? I mean, what do you want to achieve? What kind of stunt do you want to do that you haven't done yet? Let's start there.
Oh, there's so many. I think I've been really fortunate in the last 2 years to have done as much as I have. I definitely would like to do a lot more driving and motorcycle stunts specifically. I think it's really important to not only grow as a performer, but as a coordinator, and to learn as much as possible, because you can only beat your body up for so long. That's at least what I've been taught. And I would love to, you know, maybe 5 or 10 years down the line, be coordinating a show and on my own, and still perform too if I'd like, because I am young. I'll only be 30 at that point, and I mean, why not, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You gathered so much knowledge already, and mentally, I think you're, you know, very prepared for it, and you do good work. But be specific. Like, it's a motorcycle stunt. What have you seen that you want to do as well, or what have you, you know, maybe something new that you can come up with?
I would love to do 2 things on a motorcycle. I'd love to do a lay down, and I'd love to do a cable off. Okay. As rough as both of those sound, I've actually laid my dirt bike down a few times on accident. Just, you know, training, doing whatever. And I've learned a lot from both of them, but one day I'd love to, you know, be able to go onto a movie set and double an actress and be a part of this sequence where, you know, there's a perfect example in Birds of Prey. I forget the actress, but her character does bike lay down, and it was amazing. And I still don't even know what woman did it, but it was so good, and it was just so inspiring. I was like, I want to do that. That's exactly what I want to be a part of. And cable offs, just, I mean, that sounds cool. I'd love to like drive a motorcycle right into the front of a car and get spit off or yanked back. Yeah, those two for motorcycles. And then cars, I'd love to do a turnover. That would be amazing. So much to be done.
Yeah, right. What kind of a
Yeah.
turn do you like? Like, you know, there's several kinds of ways to flip a car. Visually, what's one of your favorites?
That's a good question. Probably maybe hitting a ramp. I've seen a few of my friends do some where they're curved at the end. I forget the name, but where it flips it basically when you hit the rail.
A pipe
ramp. That's called a pipe ramp. Yes, pipe ramp. That looks fun. Visually, that looks pretty good.
Yeah. What about sidewinders? Have you seen some of those?
I don't think so.
God, they're so gnarly. I mean, I think safety wise, they're probably on the cushier side. But so basically, you have a couple of cars. Most of the time it's a couple of cars that are parked on the road, and there's a small little ramp, a wheel ramp, that you only set one side of it, the passenger side, and the wheel ramp is just high enough that it goes over the rear bumper of the car that the ramp is, you know, pointed towards. Then you need about 65 miles an hour, and you go straight for those two cars off-centered with your car. So basically, the center of your car is the left side of those two parked cars. So your left side wheels are getting onto the ramp, and you stuff your car into that parked car, and the car is scored every 12 inches, and it crunches all that in, and you stop scoring it like behind the driver's side seat. So now you have all that momentum going in there, crushing all that stuff in there, and all of a sudden there's no more crunch room because the scoring stops. Now that causes your car to flip to its left, and it just keeps going, you know, and rolling depending on the momentum you're carrying, and depending on the kind of vehicle you're driving too. And those two cars are also anchored down to the ground with about 4 foot of cable. So again, you stuff that car in there, you have all that crunch zone, the car is moving forward a little bit for 4 feet and then come to a stop. That's going to help your car to go. And it looks crazy. There's all this debris through the air. 65 miles an hour is a decent speed. And you come towards the camera with that thing, it looks insane. It looks so cool.
I bet. That sounds cool. I'll have to put that one on my list.
Yeah, look it up. Sidewinders. It's
yeah,
it's fun to research all this stuff. Gosh, I watched so many old TV shows, and you know, like in the 70s and 80s, they flipped cars, you know, in every TV show all the time. Every dumpster was a reason to flip a car, right?
Yeah.
So researching all those different old styles always was something I really enjoyed doing.
It's amazing.
Do you enjoy older movies? Is there something specific that you really like?
You know, I've never really gotten into older movies. I definitely would like to. I definitely think I'm caught up in the new age of movies, but I definitely need to do my research and my history and watch some of those older movies and, you know, see where things started. I can't remember. I think you posted a video of the first ever flip. I think it was on a beach, right?
Yeah, the first cannon roll on film.
Yes, that was amazing. That was really cool.
Did you see, I think it's on Facebook somewhere, there's a behind the scenes video. I think it's almost a half an hour long of Smokey and the Bandit. Oh no, Hooper. Sorry, Hooper.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Not.
I've heard. I think I saw it, but I don't think I watched it because
Okay.
it was pretty long.
I'm going to put a link in the description on this video.
Okay.
How are you dealing with the current situation with this whole lockdown and all the other stuff that comes with it?
You take it day by day. You want to stay as positive as you possibly can, and of course, we all want to get back to work. It's just kind of trying to stay mentally and physically aware of everything that's going on, but also this is a great time to be with family, I think, and that's something that I definitely know we kind of miss out on. Working in our line of business, you're away from your family a lot, so you don't get to have quality time. It's good for that. Sadly, can't travel too much, because that would be great too, but definitely just trying to take the positive out of all of it and, move forward with life and do your part every day. And yeah.
When you say, stay positive mentally, what do you do to do that?
I think staying physically active for myself is a huge part of that. If I'm doing something physically, I'm going to be positive. I'm going to be creating my endorphins. I'm going to be, outside working out, being with family, being with friends. I think that that's kept me really happy, whether I'm hiking or just going out in nature, or riding my dirt bike. Those have been my big things to help me stay positive through all of this.
Yeah.
Not just sitting at home and, sitting in front of the TV and eating all day, or being counterproductive and not getting anything done. And, got to make little steps forward in life, even if it doesn't seem like you're going anywhere.
Yeah, good point. You still at your parents' house, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know you're buying a house, or you're building a house.
Yeah, so it's done. I'm going to be going over there later today, actually, to do the final walkthrough. The problem with the world that we're living in right now is that the bank wants to see, who they're loaning their money to, that they have a job. And if you don't have a paycheck, it's just kind of prolonging me closing on escrow right now, which is kind of sad. But trying to take the positive away from that, and that everything happens in the time that it's supposed to. Everything happens. I'm a really big believer that everything happens for a reason. So we'll see.
Try. Come on, stand up.
I love that you think that way too. I mean, because it's totally true.
Go.
Yeah.
You just got into a stunt group, right? United Stuntwomen Association.
Yeah, I've been in the group for about a little more than a year now. There are some of the most amazing women you could ever imagine. Some of the most talented women that I've looked up to for my entire childhood. Jeannie Epper, Tracy Dashnaw, so many people, Debbie Evans. They're all they've made their names, and they've made them solid names, and they're so dependable, and they're great women in life outside of work too. I look up to them a lot.
That's awesome. How did that end up working
What do you mean?
Well, how did you get into the group?
Tracy Dashnaw actually approached me and was like, have you ever considered being a part of a group? Which I hadn't. I was like, it would be wonderful to be a part of a group and have that camaraderie with the women. But I didn't really think about it. I thought I was personally too young, and I didn't have much, under my belt yet. But I think it's helped me a lot as far as driving and motorcycles and dirt bikes are concerned. In our business, a lot of the women are more geared towards that, which is great. And I've been able to call them and ask them questions, and they're always there and ready to lend a hand in any sort of way that's needed, which has been great. But yeah, it's been really amazing.
That's awesome. Oh, you the youngest member?
Yeah. And then I think What'd you say?
Probably the youngest member ever, right, in that group.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I got in when I was 23 or 24, 23.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Now explain to the viewers what a stunt group is and how it started.
So a stunt group is a group of either men or women. There's tons of groups out there, all fantastic, filled with very talented people. A stunt group is there for basically your recognition, as you're being recognized by your peers, basically, and you're able to come together and work under the same thing and have the same common goal and support one another, which is extremely important, especially for women in our business. Yeah, probably the simplest way to put it.
It's a huge honor to be
Mhm.
nice and to be considered. So that's really cool. Really,
Yeah.
for you, such a young, great lady you are. It's really cool. You're so focused and talented and hardworking. I wish to, yeah. I hope some people get inspired by you. I'm sure they do. What what's one of your favorite movies at the moment?
That's a great question. I've been, in all of this, I've been trying to stay away from TV just because you can get really engulfed in that world. So I don't really have one right now, which is kind of weird. I always have a favorite.
What about one of your favorite movies your dad worked on? I mean, there's plenty of those, right?
Oh gosh, yeah. Back to the Future for sure. All three of them. I look up to that movie so much, and I've heard so many stories of him going to set and how he got work, and it's basically brought him to where he is today. It's really inspiring, very motivational, and the way that those movies were made is just ahead of its time.
A little different than we're making them nowadays.
Yeah, a lot of bit different. Everything is very CGI'd and just it's very raw. It was. It's not now, but
a lot of stuff was done practically. I would love to talk to him here on this podcast. He would be so much fun to talk to.
Oh, he'd love that.
Really, that'd be awesome. Really.
Yeah.
What about some words of encouragement for people that may struggle a little bit? Maybe there's a lot of people that don't have the privilege that we have, that can go outside, that maybe live in a city, or someone that is kind of stuck, right, in their job, where they don't really enjoy doing what they're doing, and maybe have an idea that they fantasize a little bit with something that they'd like to start, maybe a pottery business or a flower store or whatever that might be. What would your encouragement be?
Well, I think for us, we're super, fortunate for having our passion. I know it's my passion to do stunts, and to be able to make a living off of it is quite inspiring, and I love that I'm able to do that. I think for someone who, is going day to day doing the job that maybe they're not passionate about, but it's paying the bills, I give people huge props for doing that. But I definitely think, you can only live so long doing that and expect yourself to be so happy doing that for so long, that, finding your passion, whether it's pottery or painting or interior design or whatever it may be, finding that passion and then finding a way to make it a reality is something that'll make your life enhanced in a positive way. And, with that, you're going to live longer, you're going to feel better. I think it's just finding the first step to create that reality. Yeah.
I think people are a little fearful sometimes, because let's say you have a a 9 to 5 job that I'm going to be there Monday to Friday. So you do know what kind of income you're going to have once a week or once a month, whatever that might be. So to get away from that, I heard people say, I need to know how much I'm going to make at the end of the month.
Mm-hmm.
What's your thought on
that? Well, as far as like how people have to know how much they're going to make at the end of the month.
No, but how do they break that cycle of, you're almost like in chains of that thought of that fear that keeps you there.
Mm-hmm.
So that unknown, like we never know how much money we're going to make. We don't know if we're going to make any money in 1 month, right?
Yeah.
So there's a large, it could be, it's probably a fear for a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Unknown.
Yeah. Well, I definitely, I'm a huge saver just because for times like this, I've always been taught, what if you get injured and you don't have work for the next 6 months? What are you going to do? What are you going to live off of? And I think being accountable and holding yourself accountable for, how much money you save, how much money you spend, where you can, give up on a few things in life and put it towards another thing for later on down the road. I think is super important and super crucial. And I think a lot of people during the times that we're living in right now, it's not their choice to not be working, but saving money is so crucial. Even if you have to give up on a few things, in life that you'd like to do that would enhance your life, like going and traveling, maybe, something you're just going to have to skip out on now, but you'll be able to do later on down the road when you're more comfortable. And then you'll be able to enjoy it much more because you were, financially stable and ready for that.
Yeah. Good words. And now, what about if another, young lady would like to start in the stunt industry? What would your advice be?
I say it's a long, tough road. Yes, but if you're going to get into this business, I think you have to have a really good attitude. You have to have your wits about you. It's very important to listen to people, ask questions, physically show up, mentally show up, and also take it home with you too. Everything that you learn, even if it's just from one hustle and you get, it's always an awkward situation to be in when you hustle, but you learn so much from every time you go and introduce yourself, or you work out with someone new, or you train with someone. I think for those ladies who want to start as a stunt woman, it's persistence and consistency is key, and staying positive and being confident, I think, is extremely important. So I went to Dirtfish recently.
How was it?
It was amazing. I learned so much about car control. I learned so much about the inner workings of a car. I got a sense of like a newfound confidence in being able to control a car more than I thought I thought I had confidence in a car, but now I really feel very comfortable behind the wheel. And the instructors over there are just top notch. I learned so much. I would go back.
How long did you go?
3 days.
3 days. Do you get a lot of time?
You do actually. So in the morning you'll go in, you'll do like a little class time, then you'll go out in the car and, run a few drills. And then the next day that same day you'll come back, do a little bit more class work, eat lunch, and then go back in the car and then apply it to like half a course. All those drills you ran in the morning, and then the same day or the next day you'll do the same thing kind of, and then the third day you get to apply it to a big course, which was so cool. So you're basically like, it's so mental, everything, it's so mental. You would be so surprised on how, like, it's not physical, it's all about what you're doing, how you're doing it, and when you're doing it. It's amazing.
Wow. How big is the big course?
Ooh, I think it takes 3 minutes to complete it, I want to say. Yeah, it's so cool. And you're going from like dirt to pavement, back to dirt, to like wet and then dry sand and stuff. It's so good.
That sounds like so much fun.
It is. It's a lot of fun.
That's cool. Is it expensive?
Yeah, it's a bit pricey, but I got it on the Black Friday deal, so I didn't feel too guilty about spending that money.
$3,000 for 3 days or something like that?
Something like that. I want to say it was like 35, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, something around there.
That's so cool. I had to get
Mm-hmm.
And you drove
Yeah.
up there, right?
Yeah, I did. I took 3 days to drive up there. It only took me 2 because I was too excited. I got there way faster. But yeah, it was really nice.
Did you go by yourself?
Mm-hmm. And then Whitney Coleman went up there too.
Right.
That was cool. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, let you go. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. I really had fun with this.
Yeah.
This was good.
Same here. Thank you for doing it.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, if you could send me via Dropbox or WeTransfer some videos and pictures that I can edit in here, that'd be fun for people to see.
Okay, cool. Sweet. All right. All right. Thanks, Oliver. Bye.